which is SB 544, relating to sentencing of minor defendants, requires courts to consider certain factors when sentencing a person convicted as an adult for an offense that the person committed when the person was a minor, allows courts to reduce a mandatory minimum period of incarceration or depart from a mandatory sentencing enhancement if the court determines that the reduction or departure is warranted given certain factors. First up on 544 is Darcia Forster for the Office of Public Defender. Good morning.
Good morning. Aloha, everyone. I'm here in my capacity as the supervisor of our juvenile division. So we did submit written testimony. I just really want to emphasize that I've read the preamble up to the bill, and it is true that we do see juveniles who commit law violations that require them to end up in the adult system, because this bill really talks about kids who've been waived into the adult system, where their backgrounds are filled with negative influences, parents who aren't there, who are barely there, or who have perpetrated upon their children crimes. So we really strongly support this bill because we do think that if you've been waived into the adult system, the factors outlined in the bill should be taken into consideration by a judge deciding on the fate of a child that's been put into the adult system, especially for 16-year-olds, 16 and under, although it's very rare for you to be under 16 to have been waived. So I just passionately would like to ask that you pass this. I think it's necessary and it would create a system that I think would be more fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have McKenna Woodward for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. In support, James Dole for Human Rights for Kids on Zoom. Good morning. Or afternoon, wherever you are.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you again. For the record, my name is James Dole. I'm the CEO and founder of Human Rights for Kids. Want to first start off by just thanking Senator Gabbard for introducing this really important piece of legislation. This is an issue that's come up before the Hawaii legislature. Former Representative John Mizuno had introduced a bill a few years back. And let me just start off by saying, you know, I'm a survivor of child labor trafficking and sexual abuse. And when I was able to escape that situation, I had a lot of behavioral issues, everything from shoplifting, fights, you name it, I probably did it. And what I didn't realize at that time was how common of an experience that is for children who've experienced severe trauma. At Human Rights for Kids, we've conducted a nationwide adverse childhood experiences survey where we found that more than 70% of children who are tried as adults experience both physical and sexual abuse prior to their incarceration. Another 45% experience sexual abuse as well. Their home lives oftentimes are marred by instability, including domestic violence, parental incarceration, substance abuse, mental health issues in the home. These were just some of the findings that were reported back to us when we surveyed everybody who was incarcerated for crimes that they had committed as children, which dictates why we should be treating children differently and why many states across the country, including Nevada, Montana, Maryland, Virginia, have also passed similar laws requiring courts to consider adverse childhood experiences, the prevalence of trauma, and giving their courts the ability to deviate from mandatory minimums in order to impose trauma-informed and age-appropriate accountability measures. I'll also note that states including Washington and Iowa, their state Supreme Courts have actually banned the use of mandatory minimum, finding that it violates the constitutional prohibition against cruel and unusual punishment to sentence a child to a mandatory minimum term. It's for these reasons that we hope the Hawaii legislature would do the same. Please pass this legislation. It's important to protecting the human rights of kids and the justice system. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up is Opportunity for Youth Action Hawaii. In support, Diane Goldstein for Law Enforcement Action Partnership. Also in support, Andrew Grandinetti in support, Krista McPherson in support, Veronica Moore in support. That's everyone who's signed up for SB 544. Does anyone else wish to testify on SB 544, either on Zoom or in person? Seeing none, members, questions? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next bill then. SB 544. This requires courts to consider certain factors when sentencing a person convicted as an adult for an offense that the person committed when the person was a minor. Recommendations to pass as is. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Gabbard.
On SB 544, recommendations to pass unamended. Are there any no votes or reservations? Hearing none, the measure is adopted.
Thank you. Next up is SB